So just a quick word today about feeling sad. I actually think it's okay to feel sad sometimes. I think it's a natural thing. And sometimes we live in a world where there's nearly a pressure that it's not okay to feel sad. I think sad is quite often an appropriate reaction to certain circumstances. I did kind of, not that I go viewing my own funeral, like when I'm lying in bed, but I kind of would like the idea of, people being a bit sad I was gone, rather than being there. This sort of thing, it's not a happy or sad funeral, it's a happy funeral. You kind of go, well, no, it should be sad. Like, I mean, I'd like to think you're missing me just a little bit. I do think at times it's actually okay to be sad. And there can be that pressure to constantly feel okay, to constantly project yourself as okay. But it's okay. If you're feeling sad, it's okay to feel sad. And sometimes you just have to sit with that. Something I always liked that I heard many years ago was about the bowman. And it was that life sometimes, for the bowman who fires the arrow the furthest, they always have to pull the arrow back the furthest. And sometimes that's what's happening in life, that we're just being pulled back. I always remember something I heard many years ago, and it always stuck with me. And it was just a story that this guy told me. And he told me about the day his wife had effectively left him. And he said it was the worst day of his life. He was a guy who drank, and obviously I drank and had my difficulties with drinking, and he'd had something similar. And he came back, and his wife had given him all the opportunities and all the chances and all the things. And he was, last chance saloon. But he had come back this time having, gone off and disappeared again and all the rest. And she'd had enough, and that was it. And he arrived back to his house, and his suitcase, as he said, a battered old suitcase, was outside with his belongings in it. And he stood in the rain and he banged on the door, and she called the police. And she just said, I want him removed. He's not coming in. That's it. It's done. It's over. And she told him. And he said he knew in that moment. He said he knew it was over. And, he was a good guy. He wasn't going to cause any more trouble. And he said as he walked away that day, he never felt so bad in his life. He said he was walking in the rain. He said it was lashing rain. He had to walk to a friend's house. He had no money left. He was soaking wet, his case getting soaking, and he said, it was the worst day of my life. I have never felt so sad. I've never felt so bad. And he said, I felt like that for a period of time, and after a while I started to feel a little bit better. And the point of this story is, about 6 months later, he met a girl. And this girl was to become the love of his life. Now, he always said that the lady was a wonderful lady, but he said he was never right for her. Maybe she wasn't, the perfect fit for him. But this new girl that he met, who he had children with, who he had a life with, he said if they hadn't had that day at the time, remember the bowman pulling you back the furthest? He said if I hadn't had that day, I could never have had, because he would have never met the other person. So we never really know exactly what is there for us in life. Something I always like, and I always felt in my own life, that things were always darkest before the dawn. And when things often felt at their worst, they were just about to turn the corner. And something that always kept me going, and something I always keep to the forefront of my mind, good or bad, this too shall pass. So if you're feeling sad right now, the only thing you can be guaranteed, that it will pass. It will pass. So I hope you feel a little better. I don't know whether any of that makes you feel any better. At least there may be a little bit of hope in it for you. And I wish you the very best.